Hi everyone, thank you for watching. Today I'm going to make a bone broth. It might sound a little gross, but I'm going to use chicken feet and beef bones. So thank you for tuning in, and I'm just going to list everything that you'll need. So the first thing you'll need is a big pot. Get the biggest one you can find because you're going to fill it up. You will need celery, carrots, an onion, garlic. You don't need a leek, but I found the leek in the fridge, so I'm going to put it in. You can do that if you have little offcuts of silver beets or something like that. Just you can chuck it in, no problem. I'm using parsley. I'm also going to get some more herbs out of my garden, but the only thing is I've been picking my herbs too much and I need to let them grow. So I had to actually buy that parsley. But yeah, if you can get organic as well, organic's always best. But if you're a tight ass like me, just get the cheap one from Coles, Woolies, whatever. Whole peppercorns. You'll also need bay leaves, apple cider vinegar, and pink salt, sea salt, whatever salt you want to use, it's fine. I've just got chuck bones, which are beef, and I've got my chicken's feet right here. It's actually the best part of the chicken because it gets all the collagen. It's bleeding. All the collagen's actually in the chicken's feet. You can use pig trotters as well, but yeah, I didn't get those today. You'll also need an oven. I like to put the bones in the oven first just to get a bit of colour. It actually adds a little bit more depth of flavour. Okay, so what I've done now is put them into 2 baking trays. I've put baking paper in the trays because if you do it on foil, it actually releases toxins, so you don't want to do that. Just use baking paper. The chicken's feet are still very frozen, but they'll defrost in the fridge, in the oven, not the fridge. They'll defrost in the oven, so that's cool. I've got my beef bones. A little tip is to add a little bit of the apple cider vinegar because that actually releases the minerals when you cook them. So just put a bit on there. A little bit on there. I'm going to chuck a little bit of salt on. Okay, and then we're just going to pop them in the oven. Okay, so while that's in the oven, what we're going to do is prepare our vegetables. So just, you don't have to chuck this away either. The tops, use the tops. So just chop that up like that. I don't like that bottom bit, so we'll get rid of that. That'll go in the bin. But we can use all this. We won't have to use all this celery. You can save some of it to actually eat. So, okay, we're just going to use all these little funny bits. That's the bits that are going to go into our stock. We'll put a few of the celery sticks in there as well, but we can keep these ones for eating. You don't need to put all them in. So we'll put them in our corner that we need to wash. There's carrot. We'll wash that, just chop it in half. We're not eating it, just remember that. We're straining and just using that for flavour and minerals. So just chop in half. I'm just using 4 carrots, so I think that should be enough. You can leave most of the skin on the onion as well. I'm just going to get rid of the head and just a bit of the crunchy layer. Actually, I might just chop that in half. Okay, there's our onion. Same with the garlic, just peel off the soft bit. Just cut it in half. And just cut that little furry bit off. And the rest of it we can use. Okay, so what I'm going to do is wash this stuff up and then I'll finish with the rest of it. See how that's got colour on the chicken's feet? And our beef bones have now gone brown. That's what we want. So we're going to take that out of the oven and put it in our pot. I've already put some water in the pot and let that heat up. Okay, so the next step is to put all the bones into this pot with boiling water. It is best to use purified water, so if you have a jug with a purifier on it, use that, or you can just buy purified water. I've simply just tipped that in and boiled it and added the beef bones. The chicken's feet were still a bit frozen in the middle, so they're still in the oven. And once they get a little bit of colour, I'm going to add them to this, and then I'll show you the next step. The next step is pretty important. All the little bits of scum, and it's like a foam that forms on top, you need to scoop that up and get rid of it, okay? So I'll keep you posted. Okay, that might look a little bit gross, but there's a lot of collagen in that, and that's what your skin wants, so it's good for you, trust me. Okay, see this sort of foamy stuff? That's what we want to scoop out. So just using like a spoon and then put it into a separate bowl. So continue till all these little bubbles stop forming and it's just clear liquid. Okay, so we'll let that bubble just a little bit more and just get the rest of those little floaties off, but that's pretty good. And then we're going to add all our other ingredients. I already showed you, they're just prepped and washed. I just grabbed this out of the garden. There's just some basil, rosemary, a little bit of thyme, and there was a little bit of sage as well. That's all I could afford to take out of my garden because it hasn't grown yet. So yeah, we're going to add that into that. Okay, so we're ready to add our vegetables and herbs. Just chuck it in. Onion, garlic, peppercorns. I like mine quite peppery, so I put a lot. I put 3/4 of the jar in that, so you can put as much as you want, but that's how much I put in. That many bay leaves. Got our parsley, leek, celery, and our carrot. And just a little bit more salt. Okay, then put our lid back on. Turn the stove right down, so just on a simmer, and you just need to let that cook now for 11, 12 hours, so it's best to start really early in the morning. And when you're at home, I have left it on overnight, but you shouldn't do that, but I have done that. I'm not telling you to do that, but yeah, it's more convenient for me to leave it cooking overnight, because then the next step, we need to put it in containers and then put it in the fridge, and then we scoop the fat off the top, and then we put it into our separate containers. But that's that for now.
So this has been cooking for about 15 hours. So we have the strainer ready over a bowl. That's what we're going to put the vegetables in. Then we've got this set up to start putting the juice into, and we'll need a second bowl.
Okay, so everyone was asleep at this point, so I didn't want to talk and wake everyone up. But what I'm going to do now is pull all the vegetables out and put them into the strainer so that all the excess liquid will actually form into the bowl that I have underneath. Okay, so what I'm doing now is squishing all the vegetables down just to get that juice out. I like to wear gloves. I think that it's more hygienic and you don't get squishy juice under your nails. See all that liquid? There's going to be more. We just leave that in there for a little bit. But yeah, that's why we do that. Okay, so this is like neck level. If you want to really get all the juice out, you just use a very clean tea towel and put all the vegetables into the tea towel and then really squeeze it out. You do get quite a lot of liquid out of that. And because it is such a big job and you don't want to do this all the time, I do try to get every little bit of juice out that I can. Okay, see, all that hard work just paid off. That's quite a bit of stock in there, just so you know. Okay, so now we're repeating the process, but we're going to put all the chicken's feet in there. I do put a bone in there, but I took it out because it was too hard to squeeze the big beef bone. So just put all the chicken's feet in there and then give it a really good squeeze and twist. Okay, so I just leave the beef bones over a bowl so they can just drain. And then I've put the strainer over one of the big bowls, and then I simply just tip the stock in. Be very careful when you do this. It is hot. If you do have someone to help you, get someone to help you, but I was by myself at that time. So yeah, just be very careful with this step. Okay, the next step is to get the Glad wrap and cover the bowl, and then we're going to put them all in the fridge so we can scoop the fat off the top when it solidifies later. Okay, so you can see there isn't a lot of fat because I only used the chicken's feet and bones, but you just scoop off what you can and put it into a little bowl, and see how jelly-like that is? That's what you want. That's a good stock right there. Yep. Okay, so I use a jug to scoop it and pour it into containers. I find this is a lot easier and not as messy.